Boom! Welcome into sportsBIT. Betting Insight today, Pauly and Teddy Tuesday, April 4th. Big game breakdown. Good one in the association. Charlotte, red hot all of a sudden. They take on the Wizards. Cleveland and Texas and MLB. Play of the day before we get out of here. Bad beats bad, bets bad for the books. We start with the championship game. Gonzaga goes down. Carolina gets the money. It stays under. The second half, horrible job by the officials. There were 44 fouls for the game and 52 free throws. No flow, no rhythm. Second half unwatchable. Congrats to North Carolina. And it could have been it was a 1-point game late, and everything went UNC's way, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, it really did. The ultimate coin flip game, and things went heads for the Tar Heels this time, where last year North Carolina backers, nothing but tails in that ball game. And I mean, you talk about the one word that I've heard this game described over and over again, everyone I talk to, saying it kind of reminded me of the UConn-Butler game. Just unwatchable, ugly basketball. And I mean, the whistles took the rhythm out of play, but it wasn't just the whistles. The two teams combined, 46 of 131, 35% from the floor, 12 of 45 from three-point range, and just 31 of 52 from the charity stripe. So just a lot of misses, a lot of shots clanking off rims, Pauly.
Well, you can't get in a rhythm when there's a foul every time down. And the egregious call was the fourth foul on Collins with 15 minutes left. And then, I mean, that stuff's on Twitter too. I mean, there was no contact there. And then he fouls out with 5 minutes left. How about the flagrant call on Karnowski, which was ridiculous and gave him the fourth? And then you have to save the best for last, where it's a 1-point game, and Gonzaga's going to have the ball with a chance to win, but they have the stupid possession rule. But in any event, Meeks is out of bounds. His hand is out of bounds. It's right in front of the official. Carolina gets the ball because of the possession arrow, and they get the steals, make their free throws. How about Barry, his most outstanding player? 1 of 8, 2 of 13, 4 of 12, 2 of 14, and 7 of 19.
I know. Well, I mean, what have you done for me lately? Barry was the best player in the championship game for the team that won. Therefore, he won the award. I mean, that's, of all the silly awards, and there are many of them, that's up there with it. But, I mean, look at it this way, Pauly. Gonzaga won the rebounding battle, okay? They made twice as many three-pointers as the Tar Heels. They held North Carolina to 35% shooting. They did everything they were supposed to do to win the game, and instead they lost and failed to cover. I mean, even after the Zags go 3 of 19 from the floor to open the second half, they still only trailed by 2. You say the refs cost them. I think the refs kept them in it. And then Williams-Goss banked the 3, and then he hit another 3, and then he hit driving. It looked like Williams-Goss was going to be unstoppable down the stretch, and then he turned his ankle. And that was it. And Williams-Goss turned his ankle, and Gonzaga didn't score. Did he score again? They didn't score much after that, I can tell you that. And North Carolina took over the game.
Congrats to the bettor at the South Point. They beat up, lucky bettor beat up the books there. He had to win $50,000 in the Arkansas game. So he got lucky right off the bat as they're down 5 with 3 minutes left. He had a $140,000 to win $100,000 on the risking 140 to win 100 on the money line against Kentucky. He was risking wanted to win $250,000 on the money line against Oregon. He laid $525,000 in that one, and then he laid $300,000 to win $250,000 in the game last night. He also had a future ticket on Carolina. So he gets out of there with a gun and a ski mask as he took the South Point for a lot of cash in the last 4 out of the last 5 games. Congrats to that bettor as well.
That's incredible. Wait, so you're telling me that this guy bet $300,000 to win $250,000?
Just on the Gonzaga game.
Right, which is not shopping necessarily for the best number on that. Let's just put it that way. So someone laying that type of a price and making that type of a bet, I give them all the credit in the world. That, my friend's a gambler. Yeah,
great job by Jimmy Vaccaro and Chris Andrews at the South Point for taking that action as well. All right, bad bets. A lot of...
Hang on, we got one more because we got to talk about this for the worst three-point percentage in the title game, because this is an ESPN Stats and Info one that's got to be up there. We talked about the North Carolina-Gonzaga game reminding people of UConn. Well, look at the numbers here. It reminds people of UConn in this way. Worst three-point shooting percentage in a title game ever. UConn's number 1. There's Duke, and there are the Tar Heels, minimum of 5 three-point attempts. And it's worth noting, 2 of those 3 teams ended up winning the game and or covering the point spread.
A lot of bad bets in Major League Baseball. They were betting the Marlins and Nationals over, and Atlanta and the Mets, Seattle and Houston never had a chance.
No, and there was a ton of oversteam on opening day, and not stuff that I'm used to seeing, Pauly, to be perfectly honest. That's oversteam is like you start seeing that in May or June. You don't see that on opening day, but we had a full run move on the Miami-Washington game, close to a full run move on the Atlanta and the Mets game, and a half move with juice on Seattle-Houston. I mean, there was decent weather. That certainly got the markets involved, but especially the afternoon totals. Noah Syndergaard and Strasburg pretty brilliantly. Those two combined 2 runs in 13 innings, no walks, and 10 strikeouts. And watch Strasburg's command. He worked 12.1 pitches per inning. That's about as good as it gets. 63 strikes, only 22 balls, and he got 12 ground ball outs. That's Strasburg in prime form. And it's worth noting he hadn't worked any game lower than 13 pitches per inning since August of 2014. And then, of course, there's your boy in Houston, Pauly. Yeah, Keuchel, who did it again. 2 hits, 0 runs, and a guy with as significant a home-road dichotomy as you'll find. We saw it again on opening day. Dominated Seattle and then a guy whose career he has a ERA of more than $1.50 higher on the highway than he does pitching in Houston.
Bad for the books. Kershaw, Dodgers, parlays to everything. Kershaw was 380 on opening day. Dodgers win 14-3. There's a low total with the Padres, 64, 66. Still, most professionals like them under. This is going to be a long season for the Padres and not a good start. It's the grand slam and the big third, a 6-run fifth. Or excuse me, a 6-run third for the Dodgers to put it out of reach.
Yeah, I mean, the Padres are going to be brutal. I'm telling you that right now. There is a decent chance that all 5 pitchers who were in their opening day rotation aren't going to be there at the end of the season. All right, Chacin, I mean, is arguably one of the worst starters of this millennium on opening day. 9 of the 21 batters he faced scored runs, and I'm telling you, the recreational bettors are going to clean up. They wheeled the Dodgers into everything they did yesterday, and there's going to be a lot of anti-Padres money. The books will be rooting for San Diego on a regular basis.
Yeah, there's only one game in the association. It was a write-in game. Blazers T-Wolves open pick closed Minnesota 2. Whoop, lands 1 as they win by 1 in a tough loss for the Blazers. Rockies 20-cent move in that one. They won 7-5, and John Gray left trailing, but the comeback by the Rockies.
Yeah, Colorado's bullpen 5 scoreless innings, perhaps something to be aware of. The Rockies' offense rallied to get the W.
All right, what do we got? 9 days left in the regular season for the association. A lot of win totals already decided, but boy, these guys are sharp. You still have a lot of teams with just hanging the balance with their win totals. Let's start with the unders. Hornets, Cavs, Mavs, Pistons, Pacers, Clippers, T-Wolves, Orlando, Phoenix, Portland. Already winners, all to the under. Knicks, how about the Knicks? Win total was 40. And at the Westgate here in Las Vegas, they took the most action to win the NBA title. Oh my God, that's a disgrace. Those are all your unders there. Overs already decided. Denver, Houston, Heat, Bucks, 76ers, Spurs, Jazz, and the Wiz, Teddy.
Yeah, and when you're talking about the right sides or the rightest of the right sides, I'll give you credit, Paul Howard. You talked about the Houston Rockets before the season. You talked about them week 1. You said, watch out for this team. And Houston obliterated their win total. They are the single strongest overplay in the NBA this season. Kudos to you, Paul.
All right, we get one right once in a while. Up next, big game breakdown, Charlotte and Washington, and Cleveland and Texas and MLB on sportsBIT. Betting insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
Back on sportsBIT, betting insight today. Time for big game breakdown. As always, live odds, sportsbookreview.com. And powered by UWager. Let's go with Charlotte and Washington. Wizards at home 4. 217.5 the total. Look at the race in the East here with little more than a week left to play. Toronto now the 3 seed. The Wizards a game behind them for the 4. And then 5, 6, 7, 8. Milwaukee's the 5. Atlanta, Chicago, and Miami and Orlando tied for the 8. Miami has the tiebreaker. And Charlotte all of a sudden, 7-2 straight up in ATS the last 9 to get back in this when a lot of people wrote them off, myself included.
Yeah, exactly. Count me among those who wrote off this Charlotte squad. But I think some of the mentality for these teams at the bottom of that 5, 6, 7, 8. When you think about the Bulls rallying back from the dead and the Hornets rallying back from the dead, a lot of times you don't necessarily want to be an 8th seed and really get embarrassed in the first round. You have facing an elite team is going to wipe you out. Maybe it's like, all right, let's go home. Not this year. The Celtics and the Cavaliers look more than a little bit vulnerable right now, and that, I think, is really giving some legitimate momentum to teams like Charlotte.
Yeah, and by the way, look how they play the contenders to close, so they can play their way in here and do this. Miami and Boston at home, Milwaukee and Atlanta on the road. And how about the turnaround? At least helping out has been Kaminsky. Look at the bench surge. Last 4 games, 100 minutes, 73 points, and his per 48 average, 34.8. Steve Clifford, quote, one of the best defensive games we played in a while after the wire job he's talking about against the Thunder. Every guy who played today contributed. Starters got off to a great start. Really, it was the guys coming off the bench that led to the cushion there in the fourth quarter, end quote. Now you got the Wizards, and they just had a long, long road trip that ended with the embarrassment in Golden State when they lost 139 to 115. They're pissing and moaning about what happened where McGee shot a 3 at the end and Jennings had the hard foul. But, I mean, they had 12 of their last 16 games on the road, Teddy.
Yeah, it's been one of these brutal scheduling stretches for the Wizards, and we've tried to highlight it here a handful of times on sportsBIT. And when teams go through these stretches, as Oklahoma City did over the first half and Houston did over the first half of the campaign, there's money to be made betting against them, and they're gassed at the end of it. All right? The one bad stretch the Rockets had this year, the worst stretch the Thunder had this year, came in spots like this. So here's a Washington team. They're gassed right now. What are they, 5-7 straight up, 3-9 against the spread, their last dozen. All right? And the wins and covers, what'd they come? They came against the Nets, -11, and against the Lakers, -9. So we're talking about struggling consistently in competitive games. They've fallen behind the Raptors for the number 3 seed. And when you look at the defensive numbers, there's a pretty significant drop-off, Pauly. First half of the season, pre-All-Star break, from the number 9 defense in the NBA, points per 100 possessions. Since the All-Star break, the number 27 defense in the NBA. And we ask ourselves why? Why? This graphic right here is going to show you why. NBA minutes played this season, Pauly. Show them what we got.
Knockout information here. Wall is 4th, Porter 16th, Beal 17th, Gortat 30th. Number of teams with 3 in the top 21. Number of teams with 4 in the top 31. Look at that. That cannot happen. As we've talked about the last couple weeks on this show, these guys, and especially Wall, look like they're running out of gas.
Well, with the grinder of the schedule they've been up again, but not 1, 2 different West Coast road trips in a single month. Throw in the fatigue factor of all the minutes that not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 of their starters are playing, including Gortat, who's no spring chicken. And it spells problems for the Wizards moving forward. This is a team that you and I loved for the better part of 2 months, Pauly, but not right now. Washington, to me, a team I'd rather be fading than betting on.
Game number 2, live odds, sportsbookreview.com, powered by UWager, MLB, Cleveland, and Texas. The Indians are $1.40 on the road, and 8.5 the total. It's Carrasco against Perez. Carrasco update, career mark of 44 and 46 with a 3.92 ERA. Missed the playoffs last year because of that hand injury, but last 3 seasons, the field independent pitching ranks 9th, 9.8 strikeouts per 9 innings, and you see the walks per 9 innings and the ground ball rate as well. Last 3 seasons, more than 9 strikeouts per 9 innings, less than 2.5 walks per 9 innings, and the ground ball rate more than 50%. Arrieta, Carrasco, and Kershaw, Teddy. I did not know that.
Arrieta, Carrasco, and Kershaw, Pauly. Exactly. That's 1, 2, and 3 when you're talking about some pretty impressive advanced metric stats. And it's very clear when you look at the number for this game. Look at Cleveland. They're laying $140 on the highway to Texas. All right. Carrasco is a pitcher who is absolutely the betting markets are infatuated with this guy. And because the advanced metric numbers say you're supposed to price him like Kershaw, you're supposed to price him like Arrieta. Hasn't been there yet in terms of the career win-loss mark. Hasn't been there yet in terms of the career ERA. And if you bet on him, you haven't made a whole lot of money. But I'm telling you, when it comes to those advanced metric numbers, they're in love. And of course, the Indians' bullpen. You know, it's going to be there. Andrew Miller, Cody Allen struck out, 5 of the 7 batters they faced on opening day.
Then you have Texas, and the miracle that happened last year. This is a little bit of luck. It's great managing, and they blew a 4-run lead yesterday. But look at this under Bannister. Their record and run differential under Bannister. 183 wins, 142 losses. Plus 4 runs. Almost impossible to be plus 4 in net runs and be 41 games over 500. And how did they do that? Last year, the best record in MLB history in one-run games.
And you look at the numbers. The ERA is not all that good. The fielding and pitching's not all that good. The hitting's okay, but not blow you away. But they continue to find ways to win. And we give Bannister credit. We give Baseball Luck some credit. And we give the fact that, the team's pretty good, even though the advanced metric numbers say, and the Pythagorean theories say, they have vastly overachieved to that plus 4 differential over the past 2 seasons. Now look, Martin Perez, the guy eats innings, had 198.2 last year, but he's also not necessarily the type of guy that is going to impress the advanced metric markets. He didn't really have a ton of pop last year after his Tommy John surgery. 10-11 with a 4.39 ERA and only 4.7 strikeouts per 9 innings. So the markets respond to that particular stat. Not a lot of strikeouts versus a pitcher with a ton of strikeouts, hence Cleveland as the big road chalk. And of course, 73 qualifying pitchers in 2016 with enough innings pitched, and Perez number 73 in strikeout per 9. More than half a strikeout per 9 inning less than the number 72 guy on that list, Jared Weaver. Texas also, it's worth noting, beginning the season without Adrian Beltre on the DL, Joey Gallo having to fill in for one of the Rangers' biggest bats.
Yeah, I put the game on last night. Guess what? He struck out. I mean, remember when we used to play, if you struck out, it was embarrassing. Also in the 80s and 90s, that guy cannot put the ball in play. Jesus. All right, money time. Play of the day, betting number 707. Take the plus 4 with the Hornets. Team always struggles when they come back home after a long road trip, and I don't like how the Wizards are playing. And the Hornets are on fire, and they want to make the playoffs. They've been red hot. They're giving us points here. We'll gladly take the 4. Short show. We know part 2, Rob Veno. What happened, Teddy?
Oh, my God. I'm embarrassed. I deleted it. It's 100% my fault. I deleted it by accident. I wasn't concentrating. You guys, part 2 of Rob Veno. I'll have to reschedule it. My apologies. And that, of course, means we have a short show today. Sometimes I'm just an ass clown, Pauly. What am I going to say?
What are you going to do?
Well, I mean, what am I going to do is I got to get him part 2 of Veno. We'll schedule it. It'll get done. Yeah.
In any event, we're loaded on Wednesday. It's a huge NBA card. So we'll recap everything and preview, recap what happened, and look ahead as well. And Brady Cannon, you want to talk about look ahead? We'll try to make you some money. Masters preview. He'll throw out some long shots as well at Las Vegas Golfer on Twitter. Masters preview coming up. We'll talk to you then on sportsBIT. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.